Have you ever thought about this? How much of our lives we spend worrying about things we can't control? Your boss's decisions, the feelings of the woman you love, what your friends think of you, society's expectations. And the more we get crushed under all this pressure, the more our inner voice fades away. But the Stoics, they figured this out 2,000 years ago. They said the only way to find peace in life is to focus on what we can control. And this wasn't just some philosophical advice. They learned it by living through it. Think about Marcus Aurelius. He was the emperor of Rome. Wars, plagues, political chaos. Yet in the middle of all this, every single morning he reminded himself, "My duty is to do the best I can. The outcome is not in my control." Think about Epictetus. He was born a slave, chained, sold over and over, endured endless suffering. But one day he told himself, "You can chain my body, but you'll never chain my mind." And then there's Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, yet he was betrayed, exiled, and lost everything, even his life. But after all the pain, he came to this realization: no matter what happens outside, my inner peace is in my hands. Today, we're going to draw inspiration from this ancient wisdom. I'll share with you the 5 powerful phrases every Stoic man should tell himself every single day. But not just the phrases. You'll also learn the real stories behind them. The lessons these Stoic philosophers carved into their lives. Get ready. This isn't just another video. This is the first step in your journey to discovering your inner strength. Chapter 1. Work life. Do your duty and leave the rest. Marcus Aurelius. You know, sometimes no matter how hard we work, the results are out of our hands. Your boss makes a sudden decision, a client backs out, the market shifts. You give it your all, but control. It's not yours. This is exactly where Marcus Aurelius' story comes in. When Marcus became emperor of Rome, he was only 40. Imagine it, the most powerful man in history, yet one of the loneliest. Because Rome was constantly dealing with wars, plagues, and economic collapse at that time. One night he camped with his army on the northern border, stuck in mud. Frozen ground, hungry soldiers, endless rebellions. His advisors expected decisive actions from him. Meanwhile, Marcus sat in his tent by candlelight, fingers trembling, writing in his journal. "I couldn't sleep again tonight. My thoughts are consumed by the army's hunger, the unrest among the people, the spread of the plague. But I remind myself once more, I can only do my duty. Victory or defeat is not in my hands." Think about that. Even the emperor of Rome, the most powerful man in the world, knew he couldn't control everything. His responsibility was only to do his best. So why do you live in anxiety and fear, pretending you can control it all? When we apply this to work life, the message is crystal clear. Your boss's decisions are not in your hands. Whether a client chooses you or not is not in your hands. The economy is not in your hands. But your effort, your discipline, and your ethical stance are completely in your hands. Once Marcus made a major decision in the Senate. Everyone expected him to be publicly condemned for it. But without hesitation, he said, "I did what was right." The outcome is up to the gods. This approach guided him in every area of his life, and it applies to us too. Do your best, but don't obsess over the outcome. Because it's not the result that defines you, it's your attitude. Marcus's story reminds us, sometimes we think we control everything, but we don't. True strength lies in accepting that some things are simply out of our hands. When you adopt this perspective in your work life, stress decreases, your energy increases, and your focus sharpens. And perhaps most importantly, you stop blaming yourself when things don't go as planned. Because just like Marcus, you did your duty. The rest isn't yours to control. You can confidently tell yourself, "I did my best. Whatever happens, I am at peace." But life isn't just about work, because one of the areas where humans are tested the most is the heart. So now let's move to the Stoic approach to love and the lesson we can take from Epictetus' life. Chapter 2. Love Life. You cannot possess what is not yours. Epictetus. My Stoic brother, love, let's be honest, it's one of the areas where we're most likely to be wrong. Sometimes we get so attached to someone that we start believing they owe us their love, their presence, their behavior just the way we want it. But here's the truth. No one belongs to you. One of the clearest thinkers to understand this was the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. His story is truly striking. Epictetus was born a slave. His master was infamous for his cruelty. Imagine a man who takes pleasure in making his slaves suffer. When Epictetus was still young doing heavy labor, one day his master twisted his leg for amusement. Calmly, Epictetus warned him, "If you continue, you'll break my leg." But the master didn't listen, and eventually the leg really did break. As he writhed in pain, Epictetus quietly said, "I told you so." Think about that. A slave with a broken leg, yet no anger, no rebellion. This is one of the clearest examples of Stoicism in practice. But the real lesson is hidden in his story about love. When he was young, Epictetus fell in love with a girl. But she was about to marry someone else. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't change her fate. And in that moment, he realized, to attach myself to what is not mine is to chain my own peace. From that day on, Epictetus saw love not as possession but as freedom. Love isn't about making someone belong to you, it's about respecting their free will. One day a student asked him, "The woman I love left me. What should I do?" Epictetus replied, "When you lose something, say, 'It was never mine to begin with.'" Friend, this perspective frees our hearts from unnecessary pain. The truth is, you can love someone, but whether they love you back is not in your control. And clinging obsessively to what's out of your control is nothing but destroying your own peace with your own hands. From Epictetus' story, we learn, love is freedom, not dependency. If you truly love someone, you respect their choices. Now you can tell yourself, "I cannot control the fate of what isn't mine." But you know this mistake isn't limited to love. It happens in social life too. You want everyone to like you, to approve of you. And now, we turn to Seneca's striking story on this very topic. Chapter 3. Social Life. Few people, little chaos. Seneca. Social life can sometimes be as challenging as love and as exhausting as work, because the deepest wounds often come from those we consider closest. When it comes to this, the life of the Stoic philosopher Seneca is a complete lesson. Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in Rome. He mingled with the most powerful families, advised the emperor, and his fortune was legendary. But here's the thing. Many people equals many intrigues. As he climbed the career ladder quickly at a young age, the emperor grew jealous of his success. Rumor has it that at one point Caligula even planned to have him killed. But Seneca's intelligence and measured approach kept him alive. Then Claudius took the throne. Seneca was accused of siding with his rival and was exiled. He spent years alone in a remote corner of Sicily. Pause for a moment and think. The brightest man in Rome, suddenly abandoned by friends, forgotten and condemned to a life of exile. Yet there he realized a crucial truth. Building shallow connections with many people is more exhausting than building deep bonds with few. When he returned from exile, he no longer pursued crowded banquets or flashy friendships. He began to choose the people in his life consciously. He even advised his students, Form strong bonds with a few. Trying to be good to everyone will drain your soul. And this doesn't only apply to friendships, it applies to our entire social circle. Today we connect with dozens, hundreds, maybe thousands of people on social media. But how many do we truly trust? Seneca's story reminds us that crowds bring chaos, not peace. Here's what I take from it. Choosing who enters your life is choosing your peace. The more you try to please everyone, the more you drain yourself. Sometimes you need to say no. Sometimes you need to set boundaries. Because peace comes from deep connections and the right people. The betrayals, exiles, and losses Seneca endured, all of them ultimately taught him this lesson. True friends are few. Find them, cherish them, and let go of expectations from the rest. To put this into practice, you can say, I'm starting to build my own circle, but managing our social life is only half the battle. Equally important is managing our mind, because the wrong people don't always affect you. But the traps your own mind sets can exhaust you more than anything. And this is where Marcus Aurelius comes in, teaching us lessons in mental discipline. Chapter 4, Mental Development. He who does not train his mind is like one who has chained his body. Marcus Aurelius. Most of the time, a person's greatest prison is their own mind. No matter how free you appear on the outside, if your mind is scattered, your thoughts will hold you captive. In this regard, the life of Marcus Aurelius is like an undiscovered gem. Marcus was one of Rome's most famous Stoic teachers. But one day he opposed Emperor Nero's authority and was exiled to Gyros Island in the Aegean. This was no place to live. Rocky, dry, barren, no proper food, no house to shelter in. A man who had lived in luxury for years was abandoned on a forgotten island with nothing. But what Marcus did was extraordinary. He didn't see this exile as a punishment, but as an opportunity. He set a daily routine for himself: meditation in the morning, study notes at noon, discussions with his students in the evening. Yes, you heard that right, students. Even though they were miles away from Rome, Marcus's students would come to Gyros just to listen to him. One day, a student asked, "Master, how can you still be so peaceful here? You've lost your home, your wealth, everything in Rome." Marcus smiled and replied, "A person who develops their mind is never truly exiled. That's the point. No matter how harsh the outside conditions are, if you train your mind, you are free. No books, memorize, no teacher, think for yourself, no classroom, sit under the sky and still learn." Another lesson Marcus taught his students: knowledge is a person's true wealth. You can lose your possessions, your job, even your freedom. But no one can take away the knowledge stored in your mind. Today, we fall into the same trap. Phones, social media, endless notifications. We get lost among hundreds of distractions that scatter our minds. But mental development is a conscious choice. Reading, learning, thinking. These are the only ways to build our inner freedom. Marcus's story teaches us, no matter how much the world puts you in a difficult situation, keep training your mind. Because a man whose mind is free cannot be chained. Repeat after me. I build my home and my foundation in my mind. No one can take them from me. But it doesn't stop at training our mind. Sometimes, despite all our efforts, we feel like we've lost the meaning of life. And this is exactly where Heracles' secret to spiritual peace comes into play. Chapter 5, Spiritual Development. I am a part of the universe, and all of humanity is my family. One of the deepest teachings of the Stoics is the concept of cosmic brotherhood. Simply put, it tells us we are all part of one big family in the universe. There are no sharp boundaries between people, societies, cities, countries. These are all temporary. The real truth is that we all come from the same source and are parts of the same whole. Even as emperor, Marcus Aurelius placed this understanding at the center of his life. To him, the people of Rome were not just taxpayers, they were part of his family. He even looked at the so-called barbarian tribes beyond his borders differently. Here's an example from his life. When Germanic tribes attacked Rome, Marcus spent years on the battlefield. Tens of thousands died. But he didn't see these tribes as enemies. He saw them as brothers who had not yet learned Rome's values. After victory, instead of enslaving most of them, he gave them land and freedom. To him, the common good of humanity was above all else. This is the embodiment of the cosmic brotherhood principle. Do you see it? An emperor has the power to assert dominance. He can do whatever he wants and no one can question him. Yet he chooses to rule with compassion, not resentment. Because he understands that no one in the universe is completely independent of another. In Marcus' journals, there's a line, "When a person harms others, they actually harm themselves. For we are like organs of the same body." This perspective wasn't just a philosophical idea, it was life itself. The suffering of a peasant, the death of a legionary, all resonated in his heart. During the Antonine Plague, when it devastated Rome, Marcus didn't stay in the palace. He visited the sick in the middle of the city. He gave them moral support, comforted them, and grieved alongside them. There's a huge lesson here for us. In the chaos of modern life, we often feel trapped. This understanding is the key to breaking that narrow circle. We shouldn't limit ourselves to just our family, job, or city. The universe is like a vast network. Every step we take, every word we speak touches others too. As Heracles said, the wider we expand our circle to humanity, the more peaceful we become. Marcus Aurelius knew this, which is why he lived his life not just for himself, but for all of humanity. Remind yourself every day, whatever I give to my world, it returns to me in my world. And here lies the true Stoic virtue, seeing yourself as part of a whole. Because we can only reach genuine peace with this awareness. Today, on this journey we've taken together, guided by the Stoic philosophers, we've chosen 5 powerful sayings for ourselves. These aren't just sentences, they are life compasses you'll remind yourself of each morning. The first saying, I focus on what I can control and let the rest flow. As we learned from Marcus Aurelius, this is the secret to peace in work life. Use your power where you truly have control. The second saying, in love I see the value of my affection, not my expectations. As Epictetus taught, you don't try to possess love, you simply live the love itself. The third saying, I seek no approval, my character is enough. Seneca's life shows us that freedom in social life comes from being independent of others' judgments. The fourth saying, I train my mind for the greatest victory is over myself. Self-development will be your most valuable investment. The fifth saying, I am a part of the universe and all of humanity is my family. Through the understanding of cosmic brotherhood, your soul will find peace. These sayings are like seeds. When you repeat them daily, they will grow in your mind and spirit. Whenever life's chaos makes you feel lost, return to these words, because Stoic wisdom is in truth a compass that lies dormant in all of us. Remember, every saying you've learned today is more than just guidance. It's a door to your inner world. Remind yourself, live it, and with each small daily step, carry your mind, heart, and soul toward freedom. Because true strength always begins within you. Thank you for watching.